Can you hear me? Oh, you're muted.
Okay, that will do it. There we go. Hi.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you. As good as we can be.
Yes, especially in this time. I'm in New Jersey. Tell us where you are.
I'm currently in Johannesburg, South Africa. I live between Johannesburg and Cape Town, so I'm between the two, but currently safely quarantined in Johannesburg.
Excellent. See, this is the part that I love about the internet. We are connected. Like, you are all the way on the other side of the world, and I'm here in New Jersey, and you're in South Africa. Wonderful, beautiful. I love it. And I am so excited to meet you. And why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how do you support your community online?
Okay, so yeah, I'm a lifelong what I call portfolio entrepreneur. I started my very first business when I was 22 years old. I'm a little bit older now, about 22 plus VAT and maybe a little bit of import tax. But I have started and grown and sold businesses my entire life. I eventually became a life coach to further support the entrepreneurial communities to which I was deeply connected. I've always been involved in mentoring new and young entrepreneurs. Once I became a life coach, or once I added coaching to my arsenal of tools, I realized that coaches themselves are very undersupported. So life coaches, by their very nature, aren't often hard-nosed business people.
Mm-hmm.
The world needs life coaches, and life coaches need to succeed. So I work in the space of giving life coaches everything they need to build a business that they can market with people like yourself.
I love it. Yeah. I come from the mindset that coaches need coaches. For a long time, I remember thinking to myself, oh, I don't need a coach. I didn't understand what having a coach and a mentor was. Early on in my business, thinking Google and YouTube can give me the answer. Although, yeah, the information's there, but it's such a different experience when you decide to invest in yourself and having someone that's done it, does understand the technicalities of it all to work with you. And so I appreciate you doing what you do. And I look forward to supporting you. And so we're here to talk about your social media and how I can show up and support you. And mind you, anyone watching this, I have no idea what Jay is going to ask me. And so this is a very organic and virgin coaching session.
Haven't been called that in a long time.
And so I am super excited to hear about what your question is, Jay.
So, Martine, I discovered you a few weeks back when you did a 5-day challenge, an Instagram challenge, and I wasn't able to partake in it at the time. I was already in the throes of planning to take my business online. Now suddenly, oh my God, now it's the only place to do business is online. So I have started to get my head around Instagram. I've actually only started posting literally 2 days ago. So I am as virgin as it gets. I'm now struggling with a couple of things, I guess. So I'm feeling rushed. I'm feeling an urgency around that whole, building the know, like, and trust factor, as well as the selling factor. I'm wanting to know if there's a ratio of how to build that in. I'm not a hard salesperson at all. That's not generally my style anyway. But I'm understanding that I can't negate to do that. Mm-hmm. So that ratio, I guess, is one of the things I'd like to understand, of how much of everything and how much vulnerability is vulnerable enough without emotionally vomiting on anybody's virtual shoes.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, I love this. Yes.
So that's one of my questions.
Okay, great question. Great question. And congratulations for opening up your Instagram. Yeah. Now, before I go into conversing with you and answering back your question, can you tell me why you decided to go on Instagram other than any other platform? Just curious.
So, firstly, I've never been a social media animal. I'm very much an in 3D kind of person. Yeah. So, I love the visual aspect. I love the fact that you can get a snapshot of who you're talking to simply by clicking on their profile versus scrolling down a million posts in Facebook. So for me, I like quick, I'm a creative. It's who I am. So I think I like that visually rich content. In a Facebook group, I feel like you're alone in that group. So even the idea of starting a group feels intimidating for me, because to start it, you're almost alone there. Whereas Instagram, you're surrounded by a gazillion people. It's not a private room kind of scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So that feels easier for me. I don't know if I'm correct in that assumption.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's easier to reach and show up and gain visibility, I think. But again, I think from a level of assumption.
This is very good. And I'm so happy that you shared this, because this is going to be important in our conversation in answering back your question about, is there a ratio? Is there too much? What is being vulnerable? What is being authentic to, all of this that you've asked? Because, just like you, I love Instagram because of its visual aspect. Now, it's important for us to remember that any social media platform has its pros and its cons. And because of that, we got to pay attention to it so that we create content that is aligned with what the app is built to do. And so, since we're talking about Instagram, and you highlighted very nicely, Jay, that you love the visual aspect of it, you love the fact that you can do a snapshot of a moment, and that I would attach that to Instagram stories, that is, right? And so because of that, how do you determine what is your ratio? What is too much? What is not enough? What do you do, right? And to answer that question, it's going to be all about what your outcome is wanting to be by showing up on this app organically. Because we're speaking organic, we're not speaking paid ad, you're not buying anything, you're going organic. And so I'll give you an example. If for whatever reason you decide, Jay, that you want to open up that Facebook group of yours, right? That's your outcome. I'm just making this up. Because you know that that's your outcome, and because you know that you are investing time and energy on Instagram to gain visibility, you need to know why you're doing it, right? So for this example, you're doing it because you want to gain visibility to be able to have conversation with people, to invite them into your Facebook group. That's just an example. But again, this is just to tell you, take a step back and identify the reason why you're going to be using this tool called Instagram that could die tomorrow, right? Because we want to remember that we are not using Instagram because it's our business. It's a tool. So this is one portion of the mindset that I want you to install and challenge yourself to think about, so that you take away that rush feeling of having to show up on Instagram just because you have to. And the way you remove yourself from feeling that way is by remembering that this is my tool available in order for me to show up with ease and confidence to my audience and letting them know what I have to offer. And so actually this statement is a good segue to talk about how much of vulnerability, how much of authenticity, how much is too much question, right? And so the best way to think about this, again, let's go back to what you mentioned, the whole snapshot about your life and what's going on. Okay. I believe, and the way I build my content, and you're more than welcome to stalk me on Instagram and learn and reach out to me and ask me, how did you do that? For Instagram and any content in general, you are a creative and you'll understand very well when I make the statement is that what I do with social media, I create two types of content. I have my structured content, which is, the selling offer part. I have a challenge. That's my structured content. And then I have more of my flexible content, which is more or less the everyday snapshot life. I'm eating Chipotle today. I'm bringing the kids to school and I'm feeling great. I'm feeling sad kind of content.
Okay.
That what I do with that is I infuse it I infuse the two together so I can have that balance of vulnerability yet structured. At the end of the day, Jay, the question is, how do you envision your future client's journey with you at the time that they discover you? So if you were to take a step back and think about how you felt when you first saw my account, when you first saw somebody else's account, what made you think and feel and say, wait, let me take a second and explore what's going on here. And then you took a next step a couple of days after, or a few hours after, or a few minutes after, and said, ooh, let me dive in a little bit more and click on that link and see what's in there. And you signed up for the newsletter and you ended up in that person's group. That whole journey, okay, is designed by you. And so by understanding the platform's ability to give you visibility. And so here's the thing. Once you share content on Instagram, because we're talking Instagram, you need to think above and beyond what is to happen to this person that discovered you here. Making sure that your link in your bio is actually driving them where you want them to go. Making sure that your actual bio is describing exactly what you do and calling them out. Making sure that your stories are truly speaking to them. And how are they speaking to them? Because you know them, you know their struggles, you know the pleasure island that they're trying to go to. You've been doing this for years. And so there's no right or wrong. There's you and how you choose to communicate with your potential client, right? We get so intimidated by, looking at social media and thinking, this is probably the way I have to do. I have to make sure I do this. I have to make sure I have to do that. Why don't we just take a step back and think about, how can I make it the way I want? How can I communicate with this app with the way I am? And the app gives you a lot of opportunities to do just that. If you're not the type of person that likes to go live on it, in general, let's just say.
How did you know?
Oh, you're not? Okay, well. I love it.
Okay.
Well, we're going to need to talk about that. So you are not into the live thing. Totally fine. That's still fine, because guess what, Jay? What you can leverage, because as a coach, you want to see your face. You want people to see your face, I meant. As a coach, people are going to buy Jay. They're going to buy your product, but they're going to buy Jay because they want to be close to you and they believe and they trust. The trust factor comes with your personality and you showing up. And so the reason why I talk about video content is because it's super rich content. And if you can't do it live, it's fine. On Instagram, leverage Instagram stories and do snippets of videos of you speaking. This is something that I dive in very, very deeply. I have an entire strategy on how to quickly do it that I'm probably going to share during the engagement challenge starting tomorrow. But basically, the whole gist of it is, let's look at the app for a minute. And see what you could do. In the stories portion, this is the part where you have the opportunity to create 3 types of content. You can inspire people, you can sell your offers, right? And you can also collaborate with people, right? And so how do you do that? Well, you are going to inspire either by you choosing to share a video of you speaking about a specific topic that you are well versed about in your coaching practice, Or you can inspire by sharing a quote that you personally design or that you love, that you could just type. And the good news is people come to expect that Instagram stories don't have to be perfect. It's actually the way Instagram was, back in 2011 or 2010 when it first started with the feed, when things were not just also perfect. This is the portion where people don't expect it to be perfect, right? It's raw, it's great content, it's you sharing. So inspiring content is great, and also sharing what you have to offer in between that, because you don't want to choke people and be like, oh, you just followed me here, I have a link to this, I have a link to that. And you said it before, you're not a hard sell person, and I love that about you, because I come from the same place. I love building relationships. I believe, and this know, like, trust factor, it is a journey, which is why it is important that we as business owners online remember to map out our audience's journey towards us.
Okay.
What do we want to happen when they see our story? What do we want to happen after they see our content on Instagram? Most likely when they discover you, it's probably because you posted something, or probably somebody mentioned you in a story, right? So they land on your account. This is the front door of your beautiful home. Now, the question is, are they going to knock? Are you making it visually appealing enough for them to want to knock? Meaning, click on your link in bio to find out more about you. And so for a long time, I remember being very stressed out about keeping up with it and making sure, the app that is, and making sure that I was posting every 2 hours, every 3 hours, every day. Da, da, da. And I want to address the rushing feeling that you shared with me earlier. At the end of the day, Jay, it's really up to you on how you want your cadence of posting is going to be. You get to design the way you want to show up, because and you got to stick to it though. If you say to yourself, I'm going to do Instagram stories every single day, that's what you are communicating to your audience that you're going to do indirectly. And so if you start posting every single day on Instagram stories, you're starting to build that trust, because you said you were going to do it and they feel it because you are showing up. And then all of a sudden, with no explanation, you disappear. That's breaking that trust. Or, they're probably like, what happened? Most likely they're going to ask the question, what's going on? I hope she's okay, kind of question, right? So think about how your audience is feeling as they see you and consume you, and decide up front how you're going to show up without compromising your lifestyle. You get to show up the way you want, as long as you keep at it. Because if you don't keep at it too, not only are you going to break that trust and factor with your audience, you're also going to break your analytics as far as understanding if you are actually getting reach, you are getting to, really know how your audience is consuming your content. Because on Instagram, as a business profile, you have the opportunity to look at your insights and understand what type of content resonated the most or not, so that you, as a business person online, could say, you know what, this type of content truly resonates with my audience, therefore I'm going to do more of that. And the only way you can do that at analysis is by ensuring that you've shown up on a consistent basis. And what is that consistency? Is whatever you decide is right. So as far as the ratio goes, you can decide and say, I'm going to post in my feed once every 4 days. However, I'm going to post in my stories every single day. And with that, I'm going to ensure that I infuse to invite my audience watching. Not only am I inspiring them, I'm also going to share about my story and what's happening in my world personally, so they get to know me. But I'm also going to infuse an invitation for them to book a call with me, or for them to download this new freebie that I have, or potentially join me on Facebook for a live or whatever you have going on. And so it's this natural relationship that you want to build using the app that ultimately, essentially, that you want to happen for your Instagram. And so does that make sense?
It does, but it's raised another question for me.
Yes.
So because I'm literally just starting out with Instagram, and I'm not yet putting effort into going to find my ideal client, my personally developed strategy, and you might think it's ridiculous, was to have quite a high level of engagement now, or a high level of posting. So posting 3 to 4 times a day for the next, let's say, 7 to 14 days, to build a history, a content history in the page, before going out to seek potential or connect with and engage with what I believe may be my ideal target market. The idea was never to continue at that level of posting. I could never sustain that. I could happily, dial that back into a once a day post, pre-scheduled. I'm a serial planner, but I definitely couldn't do it 4 times a day. Just so that if I invited you, if I identified you and you landed on my page, you went, oh, great, she's got 2 posts. I have no idea who she is. Move along swiftly. Is it okay to do that? Is it okay to have that period of a more intense endeavor to build content on your account, and then just dial it back into a more manageable?
Absolutely. I think that is the right approach, especially if you're just starting out. Now, because think about it. If you were putting your house for sale, you would want to, do a cleanup and make sure that you have fresh paint and you're ready to put it before you put it on the market, you got to set it up. And so the approach of you putting content out on your Instagram to get started before you go out to engage is absolutely the right thing to do, because you want to set the stage.
Okay.
And so what I'm going to add to that is, to help you out, is share with you my 9 square formula when it comes to Instagram. And it's a formula that I keep in mind as I continue to create content, even today. Even though I post in my feed every other 3 days, every 4 days, depending on what's happening in my business, right? I always use my 9 square formula, which is something that I'm going to talk about during the challenge. And basically, essentially, what it is at any given point, when you land on my Instagram profile, when I land on your Instagram profile, Jay, I want to be able to identify from the latest 9 posts that you've shared who you are, what you do, what you have to offer, and what do you believe in. Because this formula is going to help you maintain a good cadence of content mix. And it's not going to be too heavy on the what you have to sell. It's not going to be too heavy on the this is about me and self-promoting type of content. Having that mix and that formula, thinking to yourself at any given time, when someone lands on my account, when they look at the latest 9 squares of my post, are they able to identify who I am? Can they see my face clearly, right? A beautiful picture of me. Can they understand what I have to offer? Whether it's a quote that you posted, I don't know. Can they clearly understand what I have to offer? And can they clearly understand what I stand for? Meaning, what is my expertise? What do I believe in, right? And so I'll give you an example, because I like to give example to put it all in context. I'm only sharing myself. I'm not sharing because, I'm trying to promote me. I'm just giving it to you in context so you could go into my Instagram and see what this means. So like for me, when you look at my 9 squares at any given time, you'll see my face, right? You'll see who I am. The account owner exists. She's a person. She's a woman. She has this big hair, and that's her. That's her signature element. That's her signature style. You get it. And then the other thing that you'll notice is that I have a very, very consistency when it comes to my visual color branding, which is another thing that you want to pay attention to. Sorry, I have a fly. Another thing that you want to pay attention to, because again, it's a visual app, and therefore you don't want every color of the rainbow on your Instagram, just because it's a friction to your ideal client's discovery stage with you. And friction, we don't want. We don't want friction to happen in the journey of your ideal client exploring who you are. So don't put a lot of colors, pick one or two or three and stick with it, right? When you go on my Instagram, you see a picture of me, you see a consistency of colorway. You'll see that I share things about Instagram because that is what I believe in. That is my expertise. And when you see it, you're like, oh, wait, is she a social media manager? Probably not. Let me just check more. And it's going to want you to explore further. And the only way that happens is because you're going to end up having that mix of content. And so setting up your account in order for you to start engaging after that and being able to step back and create a cadence that is aligned with your lifestyle and what's happening in your business is absolutely the right strategy. And again, what I would infuse there is to ensure that you try to bring in this formula of the 9 squares as you build your content to set it up and as you continue. Okay, so you have that balance.
I love that. Thank you.
Good. Awesome.
Thank you. Got some boxes to go tick now for myself and check and create some homework for myself as you were going along.
Excellent. Good. I'm excited that you're on Instagram, Jay, because it's outside of Facebook. I have to tell you, Facebook is definitely, there's also a whole strategy on how to be on Facebook. Now, the way I'll share with you the way I use Facebook and Instagram organically.
Please do.
And this is something that I coach my clients with and in my group coaching program. So what we do and what I do is I use Instagram as the visual app that it is, as far as imagine being on the market for a new house. You want to buy a new house. You drive around the neighborhood that you're interested in and you see a beautiful lawn and you're like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. I have to check to see if it's, to check the realtor and call them for an open house. You see it, you love it. And that's what Instagram is for me when I map out the vision of my ideal client exploring me. They see my account. It's the opportunity for them to get to know me. It's kind of like a portfolio. It's the time for them to get a sense of what can they get out of me as far as what I know and sharing, support and value and whatnot. It's the front of my house. And so that's how I look at it. And therefore, with that in mind, I always make sure, how can I make it so that it's optimized to bring them to the outcome that I want, which is being in my Facebook group, because that is where I convert. That is where this is my community. This is where I have my members showing up fully and me showing up fully for them to support them. And so the end goal for me is to bring my audience there. And obviously the end goal as well is for them to book a call with me and schedule a time with me. Or, if they, depending on who they are they potential clients or business owners? If they're business owners, the end goal would be to leverage the conversation once they connect with me on Instagram to come up with some sort of collaboration or support and whatnot, right? And so I'm on Instagram for two things. I'm on Instagram to gain visibility so that my ideal client wants to come closer to me. And I'm on Instagram to gain visibility so that other business owners want to collaborate with me, because I truly believe in, support and connection and collaboration in order for you to gain even more visibility. And so Instagram is more or less like, hi, introduction. I'm at this big party. I'm by the bar and you see me and you're like, hey, shake my hand. Let's talk. Who are you? Kind of big party. That's what Instagram is. And with that in mind, I have to make sure I introduce myself. I have to make sure I reach out on DM. I follow up on DM right? And that's the engagement part we're going to talk about. And so I funnel them into my Facebook digital space, whether it's becoming friends on Facebook or coming into my Facebook group. And that is where I nurture even more relationships, right? The content on Facebook is going to be a little bit more optimized there because the platform gives me the ability to do so. Going live, um, on Facebook, uh, sharing, different groups that I could be in. Um, and also, changing up my Facebook banners depending on what's happening in my business to truly highlight and keep that momentum going, right? And so ultimately what's happened is that in my Facebook group, as I continue to build it up to almost 500 members now, and this is my community, and I encourage anyone that does business online, and yourself, Jay, to explore having your own community online and using Facebook for that matter. Because that is where you can show up easily, and people are coming in because they want to be with you. And so if there's anything, they are ready to want to consume what you have because they said, hey, just like they said, hey, here's my email. They said, hey, I want to be close to you by being in your group. And so having a Facebook group is absolutely something that I would encourage you to explore, only because the algorithm in Facebook as a company is definitely behind supporting groups more than anything. All these social media apps are all about community building, especially right now with what's happening with this whole social distancing. Yes, it's going to go away, but we are going to enter even more into a phase where people are going to be craving human connection and relationship and a place to belong that they know that they can feel good. And if that's the space that you can create where people can feel safe, get support from you, yet be able to get invited by you to invest in what you have to offer, by all means, I would say definitely explore that. And so that's how I have my funnel set up. Instagram funnels through into my Facebook group. My Facebook group is dear to me. That is where I, put most of my energy in, as far as showing up live, supporting, answering questions and whatnot, and giving support. And everything is going to work out as long as you plan ahead, Jay, because you can go crazy if, and I want you to, with social media. You have to plan ahead. What I do is I plan my content a week in advance. And so I don't go, creating content. I don't go 30 days, 60 days. I have an idea of what's happening in my business over the next 30 days, 60 days in my head. I have it, written down. But as far as creating content for that week, and I leverage the scheduling portion of the apps too. Let Instagram post, not Instagram, but there's Facebook Creator that lets you post your Instagram feed on the scheduler for free. It's Facebook that gives it to you, right? And I'll share with you on Messenger after we're done how you can leverage that, right? Schedule your content out. Sit down every week and say, what's happening in my business? What do I want to share? How do I want to show up? And make that commitment and say, that's how I want to show up, because consistency is what is going to build that trust with your audience. And the only way you can have that is by making sure that you're not posting on the fly and you're not rushing, right? And you have to plan. And so I would definitely encourage you to plan your content.
I love it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Martine, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
That is so valuable.
Oh, good.
Valuable.
Oh, I'm excited. Thank you. I'm very excited that you are looking to bring yourself online. And it's the right time. It's the right thing to do. And you're gonna be fabulous. I have no doubt about that. You're gonna be fabulous. And I'm here to support you. So tell us, where can we find you? I'll put the links in the post here, description.
Great. So my website is www.vividwithj.com. It is under construction at the moment. It went under construction just before the coronavirus hit. So everything has just kind of slowed down while we've been trying to catch up to ourselves. It should be live by the end of the week and repositioned. The Instagram is @vividwithjcoach. And yeah, I'm not on Facebook yet from a business perspective, so I'm not there. But I'm Jay Manning on Facebook, and you're very welcome to connect.
Awesome.
And I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming along and raising your hand. And I look forward to continuing to supporting you, and reach out.
I absolutely will. Thank you, Madonna.
Be safe, all right, out there.
Right
Thank
back at
you.
you.
All right,
Bye.
take care, Jay. Thank you again.
Bye.
All right, bye.